The ground is literally pulling itself apart. Rivers vanish into the desert and never reach the ocean. Sand dunes hum in the wind. Hidden caves contain fish found nowhere else on Earth. And somewhere beyond the mountains, the government built one of the most secretive places in human history. Fact 1. Over 900 nuclear detonations on American soil. Between 1951 and 1992, the U.S. government detonated more than 900 nuclear bombs at the Nevada test site, about 65 miles north of Las Vegas. That is not a typo. 900. During the above-ground testing years, mushroom clouds were visible from the Las Vegas Strip. Casinos ran atomic tourism packages. People gathered on rooftops with cocktails to watch the blasts at dawn and be back at the blackjack table by breakfast. The government called it a patriotic spectacle. What they didn't mention was what was drifting downwind. Fact 2. The downwinders, a secret that cost lives. Communities east of the test site became known as the downwinders. Farmers, ranchers, school children, told by the government the tests were perfectly safe. By 1953, sheep were dying with radiation burns on their faces. Animals were born deformed. The Atomic Energy Commission investigated, then falsified its own reports to bury the findings. When documents were finally declassified in the late 1970s, the truth came out. The government's compensation program eventually paid out over $1.9 billion to more than 28,000 victims, $50,000 per person, for cancer caused by their own government. Fact 3. The Sedan crater, visible from space. Inside the restricted Nevada National Security Site sits a crater 320 feet deep and over 1,200 feet wide, the result of a nuclear explosion detonated in 1962 to test whether nuclear bombs could be used for peaceful construction. The blast displaced 12 million tons of Earth in seconds. It is so massive that astronauts can spot it with the naked eye from orbit. Today it sits in total silence, a monument to exactly how much raw power the U.S. government was willing to detonate in the Nevada desert. And the nuclear story doesn't end there. What happened to the people who lived on this land is one of the darkest chapters in American history. Keep watching. Fact 4. 86% owned by the federal government. Nevada is not really Nevada's. Over 86% of the entire state is owned and controlled by the federal government, the highest percentage of any state in the country. Military ranges, classified installations, and Department of Energy sites stretch as far as the eye can see. When the government needed somewhere to test nuclear weapons and run operations nobody was supposed to see, they chose Nevada. Remote, sparsely populated, and already mostly under federal control, the state became America's back room. Fact 5. Pioche. Murders faster than burials. Pioche, Nevada, made Tombstone and Dodge City look like vacation resorts. This silver mining boom town in the 1870s operated with almost no law enforcement for years. The cemetery section known as Murderer's Row speaks for itself. Bodies were buried with their boots on, a sign that death had come fast and without warning. The town cycled through sheriffs the way most towns went through horseshoes. Hired guns brought in to keep order frequently became part of the problem. Fact 6. Sea monsters in the desert. Inside Berlin Ichthyosaur State Park lies a secret almost no visitor expects. During the Triassic period, this barren desert was covered by a warm, shallow sea. Massive marine reptiles called ichthyosaurs, some over 50 feet long, ruled these waters. Nevada is the only place on Earth where you can stand in a dry canyon and see several of these creatures preserved exactly where they died, millions of years ago. You are not walking on desert. You are walking on the floor of a prehistoric ocean. Fact 7. More ghost towns than living cities. Nevada has over 600 ghost towns, more than any other state in America. Mining boom towns exploded overnight when gold or silver was found and vanished just as fast when the ore ran out. Towns with thousands of residents, newspapers, and opera houses were simply abandoned. People walked out of buildings one day and never came back. Walking through the better preserved ones feels genuinely disorienting, like visiting a place where time didn't stop so much as it just gave up. One of those ghost towns vanished so completely that what's left is genuinely unsettling. That's next. Fact 8. Rhyolite. 10,000 people gone in 20 years. In 1904, a gold strike sparked the founding of Rhyolite, Nevada. Within a few years, it had 10,000 residents, 3 newspapers, a stock exchange, and an opera house. By 1920, it was essentially empty. The 1907 financial panic collapsed the banks, the mines closed, and the population evaporated overnight. What remains today, a 3-story concrete bank rising from the desert floor, a train depot still standing, and a home built entirely from glass bottles still catching the light. Somebody walked out of those buildings one day and never came back. Fact 9. Hoover Dam's hidden death toll. The Hoover Dam's official death toll is 96 industrial fatalities, but that number excludes workers who died from heat, carbon monoxide poisoning in the tunnels, and causes classified as non-industrial. Some historians put the real number at 116 or higher. On the hottest days, tunnel temperatures hit between 130 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Workers were exposed for hours to exhaust fumes from gasoline equipment running in enclosed spaces. The construction company had financial incentives to avoid industrial classifications. The dam was built on schedule. Workers' families got nothing extra. Fact 10. Area 51. The secret that became a legend. For decades, the U.S. government didn't officially acknowledge Area 51 existed. The highway past its perimeter was renamed the Extraterrestrial Highway in 1996, after so many unexplained aerial sightings that Nevada simply leaned into it. In 1989, Bob Lazar claimed on television that he'd worked at a nearby facility back engineering alien spacecraft. His claims remain unverified, but he described the base's layout and named specific roads later confirmed by declassified documents. Just enough grip to stick. Area 51 is the reason millions of people drive through a desert with a double-digit town population just to stare at a fence. We're halfway through. What's coming next gets stranger. An accidental geyser, a fish that shouldn't exist, a glacier nobody knows about, and a dune that sings. Don't go anywhere. Fact 11. The land that water can never leave. Most of Nevada is part of an endorheic basin, meaning every drop of rain and snowmelt either evaporates, soaks into the ground, or flows into landlocked lakes with no outlet to the sea. None of it ever reaches the ocean. Rivers here don't flow out. They flow in and disappear. It creates a strange, eerie landscape of ghost lakes and shifting salt crusts where water is born and quietly dies without ever finding the sea. Fact 12. The river that simply vanishes. The Humboldt River stretches over 300 miles, the longest river in Nevada, and leads absolutely nowhere. Instead of connecting to any ocean or larger river system, it winds through the northern desert and quietly dies in the Humboldt Sink. In hot summers, it slows to a trickle or vanishes entirely into cracked, alkaline mud. Early westward pioneers despised it. Brackish water, a crooked path, and an ending that was nothing. Fact 13. The accidental geothermal rainbow. In 1964, an energy company drilled a geothermal test well near the Black Rock Desert and forgot to cap it. Boiling mineral-rich water has been erupting from the surface ever since. Over decades, dissolved minerals build up 3 large mounds now covered in heat-loving algae, brilliant reds, greens, and yellows glowing alien against the desert floor. The Fly Geyser sprays water 5 feet into the air continuously. It is one of the most visually surreal landmarks in America, and it exists only because someone forgot to seal a hole. Fact 14. Devil's Hole. The fish that lives in darkness. In a detached unit of Death Valley National Park is a water-filled limestone cavern that plunges over 500 feet deep. No one has ever reached the bottom. This is Devil's Hole, the only natural habitat on Earth for the Devil's Hole pupfish, which survives on a single limestone shelf just a few feet wide near the top. Water stays 92 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, and when massive earthquakes strike thousands of miles away, the water level here visibly fluctuates in response. A natural seismograph in the desert. Fact 15. Nevada has a secret glacier. Hidden on the north face of Wheeler Peak at over 12,000 feet elevation is the only active glacier in the entire Great Basin. It's a rock glacier, Ice covered by rocky debris that insulates it from the desert sun, and it's still moving. Stand near its base and cold air rolls off the ice while valleys far below bake in triple-digit heat. A glacier in Nevada. Almost nobody knows it exists. Subscribe if you haven't already. We've still got a singing sand dune, the oldest living things on Earth, and the geological fact that explains everything about Nevada. Coming up. Fact 16. The singing sand dune. Sand Mountain rises from the Stillwater Desert, nearly 2 miles long, 600 feet tall, and it makes noise. It's one of only a few dozen singing sand dunes in the world. When wind moves across the surface or footsteps disturb the grains, they rub together and produce a low, eerie hum, like a distant airplane or a swarm of bees. Centuries of wind sorting made the grains nearly identical in shape and size, which is what creates the sound. Nevada has a 600-foot dune that sings. Of course it does. Fact 17. The highest lighthouse in America. Nevada has a lighthouse, an actual lighthouse. The Rubicon Point Lighthouse sits above Lake Tahoe at over 6,300 feet above sea level, the highest elevation lighthouse in the entire United States. Built in the early 1900s to help ships navigate one of the deepest lakes in the country. A lighthouse in a landlocked desert state on a mountain. Nevada doesn't follow rules. Fact 18. Lake Tahoe. Enough water to flood California. Lake Tahoe holds enough water to cover the entire state of California in 14 inches of liquid. The largest alpine lake in North America, it reaches depths of 1,645 feet and sits at over 6,000 feet in elevation. The water stays so cold and clear year-round that white disks drop beneath the surface have historically been visible at depths of over 100 feet. It is not just a lake, it is an inland sea sitting on top of a mountain. Fact 19. Pyramid Lake, ghost of an ancient ocean. About 35 miles north of Reno sits Pyramid Lake, one of the last remnants of ancient Lake Lahontan, a massive inland sea that covered most of northwestern Nevada during the last ice age. The lake has no outlet, is highly alkaline, and is famous for enormous tufa towers, bizarre limestone formations sculpted by receding waters over thousands of years. The most iconic is a pyramid-shaped island rising dramatically from the deep blue surface. You are not looking at a lake. You are looking at the ghost of an ancient ocean. Fact 20. Temperature extremes that defy logic. Nevada recorded 125 degrees Fahrenheit in Laughlin in 1994, the third highest temperature ever measured in the United States. The northeastern corner of the same state once hit 52 degrees below zero. That is a swing of 177 degrees within one state's borders. Nevada isn't one climate. It's a dozen stacked on top of each other, each more extreme than the last. Fact 21. The ancient bristlecone pines. High on the slopes of Wheeler Peak grow some of the oldest living things on Earth. The ancient bristlecone pines have stood here for thousands of years, watching civilizations rise and fall. One tree here, cut down for research in the 1960s, was determined to be nearly 5,000 years old at the time of its death. These trees grow so slowly they sometimes add only a fraction of an inch per century. Their wood becomes so dense it resists rot almost entirely. Their twisted, skeletal forms look frozen in time. Because they are. Fact 22. The Loneliest Road in America. A famous magazine labeled a stretch of U.S. Route 50 across central Nevada the loneliest road in America, warning travelers there were no points of interest and survival skills were needed. The road actually crosses 17 mountain passes and winds through historic mining towns frozen in the 19th century. Long stretches have no gas stations, no cell service, no other cars. For the right traveler, it's perfect. For anyone who took that warning literally, it was a very long drive to nowhere. Fact 23, the crater NASA used for moon training. In the remote heart of central Nevada lies a landscape so alien that NASA used it to train astronauts for the moon landings. The lunar crater volcanic field covers over 100 square miles, with nearly 20 extinct volcanic cones and a perfectly circular crater, nearly 400 feet deep. caused not by a meteor, but by a massive underground steam explosion. The surrounding terrain is dark volcanic cinders and jagged rock with almost no visual scale reference. Stand out there, and it doesn't feel like Earth. NASA agreed. Fact 24. The flattest place on the planet. The Black Rock Desert spans nearly 1,000 square miles of packed alkali clay, so level that jet-powered vehicles have hit speeds exceeding 700 miles per hour here. A remnant of prehistoric Lake Lahontan, it becomes a shimmering mirror when covered by a thin layer of winter rain. Every year it becomes a temporary city for one of the world's largest cultural festivals. Stand in the middle of it, and the horizon stretches into infinity. The flatness stops feeling like geography and starts feeling like an idea. Fact 25, 314 mountain ranges nobody talks about. Nevada is the most mountainous state in the contiguous United States, with over 314 distinct named mountain ranges. Most people picture flat desert, but Nevada is actually a series of parallel ridges running north to south, separated by wide valleys. Some peaks top 13,000 feet. The vertical variety creates ecosystems ranging from scorching salt flats to subalpine forests. No matter where you stand in Nevada, a mountain is on the horizon. Always. The flat desert state is secretly one of the most rugged landscapes in America. Three more geological wonders. Then the one fact that explains everything about Nevada's geography, including why the ground has been shifting this whole time. Fact 26. The world's most productive gold belt. Hidden beneath northeastern Nevada is one of the most productive gold mining districts on the planet. The Carlin Trend is a 50-mile belt of microscopic gold deposits, invisible to the naked eye, requiring advanced chemical processes to extract. Created millions of years ago when mineral-rich fluids were forced upward through fault lines, it has made Nevada the leading gold producer in the United States and one of the top producers in the world. The mines are so vast they can be seen from space. Fact 27. Lehman Caves, 300 rare formations underground. Lehman Caves at the base of Wheeler Peak is a limestone cavern with over 8,000 feet of winding passageways. World-renowned for one thing, shield formations. These are rare circular stone plates that grow outward from cave walls and ceilings. There are over 300 of them here, a density unmatched by almost any other cavern on Earth. The temperature inside stays a constant 50 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Step inside from a 105-degree Nevada afternoon, and the contrast hits you immediately. Fact 28. Cathedral Gorge. Carved by a vanished lake. Cathedral Gorge. State Park looks sculpted by a giant, whimsical hand. Its dramatic spires and slot canyons were carved from soft bentonite clay left behind when a prehistoric lake drained millions of years ago. Rainwater and snowmelt then spent centuries eroding the material into labyrinths of mud and shadow, stretching nearly 2,000 acres. Walking through the narrow passages feels like exploring ruins of a civilization that never existed. Fact 29. The Valley of Fire. 150 million years of geology. Nevada's oldest state park looks like it's on fire. Red sandstone formations glow like burning embers when the sun hits at the right angle. Created from shifting sand dunes during the age of dinosaurs, roughly 150 million years ago. The park also preserves hundreds of ancient petroglyphs carved into dark desert varnish by prehistoric peoples thousands of years before modern explorers arrived. Time has a different meaning out here. Fact 30. The Ruby Mountains, Nevada's hidden Alps. Most people have never heard of the Ruby Mountains. Located in northeastern Nevada, 10 peaks soar above 10,000 feet. Glaciers during the last ice age carved lush, hanging valleys, alpine meadows, and cascading waterfalls that have no business being in a desert state. The Rubies even support a population of Himalayan snowcock, a bird native to Central Asia, introduced decades ago, that somehow thrived here. Every desert stereotype Nevada carries, this range quietly destroys. Fact 31. Walker Lake is slowly disappearing. Walker Lake in western Nevada is a remnant of prehistoric Lake Lahontan, and it's shrinking. Over the past century, upstream water diversions for agriculture have caused the water level to drop by over 150 vertical feet. Salinity has surged. Native species are struggling. Thousands of migratory birds still rely on what remains, but what remains gets smaller every year. The surrounding mountains rise steeply from the shrinking waterline, making the whole scene feel like a slow-motion, geological tragedy. Fact 32. The most remote place in the U.S. The Jarbidge Wilderness in far northern Nevada is considered the most remote place in the contiguous United States. 8 peaks rise above 10,000 feet. The canyons are deep and difficult to reach even with modern vehicles, and the night sky here is almost entirely free of light pollution. One of the last places in the country where the full Milky Way is visible without effort. The name Jarbidge comes from a Native American word meaning giant that dwells in the mountains. Out there, alone under that sky, you understand why. Fact 33, where two geological eras collide. Just outside Las Vegas, the Keystone Thrust Fault at Red Rock Canyon is a line in the cliffs where older gray limestone was pushed directly on top of younger red sandstone by a tectonic shift 65 million years ago. It creates a jarring two-tone stripe in the rock face stretching for miles, a literal collision of eras, frozen in stone. The cliffs rise nearly 3,000 feet. In the right light, the iron oxide in the sandstone glows deep crimson. It looks like a painting. It's just geology. Fact 34. The most mountainous state nobody imagines. Here's one final detail most people never connect to Nevada. The state has over 314 named mountain ranges, more than any other state in the contiguous U.S. Because of the basin and range topography, no matter where you stand in Nevada, a jagged peak is always visible on the horizon. The terrain shifts from Mojave Desert cacti at the base to ancient bristlecone pines and alpine tundra at the summit. Nevada contains more ecological variety packed into one state than most people give it credit for, and almost none of it looks like what people picture when they hear the name. Fact 35, Nevada is literally growing wider every year. And here's the fact that ties everything together. Nevada is getting wider. Every single year, the state sits at the center of the Basin and Range Province, a region where tectonic plates are slowly pulling the Earth's crust apart. Over the last 16 million years, Nevada has nearly doubled in width. It explains the hundreds of mountain ranges, the constant low-level earthquakes, the geothermal springs, the endless valleys. The ground beneath Nevada has been tearing itself apart for millions of years, and if it continues long enough, scientists believe the Pacific Ocean may one day flood in and create an entirely new sea where the desert stands today. Nevada is not just a state, it is a slow-motion geological event happening right now, beneath everyone who lives there. After all that, which fact hit you the hardest? Drop your number in the comments. Let's see how many of us landed on the same one. If you want more videos like this, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss a new upload. Check out the video on screen for our next deep dive into American geography. See you there. The US is way crazier than you think. Subscribe for more insane state facts, and let's keep traveling together.